What's going on YouTube? We're back here with another video on Chizuru Night, man. We're going to be talking about the new character Chizuru, just giving my first impressions on her, what I think about her as a character. Then we're going to get into, cards, epiphanies you might want to go for partners, save data, potentials, memory fragments, team comp. If y'all do enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's get to it. So first thing we're going to start off with how I feel about Chizuru as a character. So aesthetically, I love Chizuru. She's my number one wife, okay? There was a reason why I was super hyped up for her. There was a reason why I skipped out on Haru and Yuki, okay? I really just wanted Chizuru because I liked everything about her, okay? Now, in terms of the way how she plays, I think she's really fun, number one. I think the multi-hitting is really satisfying, especially at times where you get your Oni Hunt and maybe both of your Moon Slashes in the same turn, and you're able to use all three of those cards just like back to back to back. It's really satisfying when you're able to hit that many times, and you do some good damage, especially if you partnered up with Ray or whatever. It's really satisfying, and it's really a fun way to play the game. Also, I do think she's going to be a very good sub DPS, I would like to call her. I don't think she's going to be a main DPS because, Maylin, Renoa, who else, Luke, maybe even Tressa up there as well. Like, the amount of damage those characters could do, it would be unfair to call Chizuru a main DPS. I think she's really a sub DPS, especially with the build I'm kind of going for, kind of makes her a sub DPS. And I think characters in the future that could also multi-hit will work really well with Chizuru as well. I think if there was a character that comes out in the future that hits like really hard, like does some crazy numbers and hits multiple times, I think they're going to be amazing with Chizuru. So that's why I think Chizuru is definitely going to have like some longevity in this game, because I think you could definitely partner her up with other DPS characters, especially with the save data I'm going to get into as well. But these are her cards here. We have Moon Slash, who gives a crap about the shield. We've got Karmic Flames, Tsukiyomi, Bound at Dusk, Oni Hunt, Shadow of the Moon. So there's a few gimmicks. You could go for like a basic attack build for her if you want, where I think, is it the Tsukiyomi that does it, or is it the... Okay, no, it's not the Tsukiyomi that does it. I believe it's the Oni Hunt that does it, where it's able to create Moon Slashes. Yeah, so create 2 Moon Slashes, apply Exhaust to it. The Moon Slash is obviously the basic, ×2 obviously would be insane with Ray, and her basic attack card damage multiplier, or addition card I should say, instead of multiplier. But yeah, you can make some cool fun basic attack build. I don't know how good it will be, but it's definitely doable. Could be pretty fun. You could go for a multi Oni Hunt build as well, where you've got like maybe 3, maybe even 4 Oni Hunt cards. If you could get that many copies, obviously you would have to get really lucky. But yeah, maybe Oni Hunt with the ×4. If you had like 3 or 4 of those cards, it could be really fun, just spamming those cards, getting so many hits, doing a good amount of damage with it as well. And the other one I would say is probably the most popular one right now, where is you get this Tsukiyomi card, add 2 hits to the next Shadow of the Moon card. So you get like 3 of these, and you just keep stacking hella hits on your Shadow of the Moon card. And when you finally do your Shadow of the Moon card, it's probably going to be like ×20, ×30, ×40, ×50, right? You're just going to be able to stack a whole bunch of hits on your Shadow of the Moon, so you could go ahead and nuke. And I think that's kind of the popular playstyle when it comes to DPS characters, just stacking up combos or whatever cards to nuke. Mostly popular with, Maylin and Luke and stuff like that. So I think right now that's the definitely the most popular one, and that's the one I'm going for as well. So yeah, that's really much with her cards. And obviously you got Bound at Dusk. I think people feel 50-50 about this card because you're not gonna be able to use AP, but I think there's some good ones. Like this one's pretty good. Decrease cost by 1 of 2 cards basically. That's insane, bro. 2 cards, you decrease the cost by 1, so they're probably gonna cost 0, especially if you're using low build characters. But I could see where something like this could be annoying, especially if you're trying to deck cycle a whole bunch when you're fighting a boss. So maybe you might want to take out Bound at Dusk on, maybe you want to have a build with Chizuru where you have the bound at Dusk and you don't have a Bound at Dusk, because I could see, like, if you're trying to cycle through like a lot of cards in a turn, how Bound at Dusk could be annoying because you might not be able to use all those cards. But I think there's definitely some good initiation unique strategies you could run with Bound at Dusk. Now into her partners, obviously you got her main one, it's Suku, which I just really like. I love the character design. You obviously got LOEs, which is free to get, and obviously you got the 3-star one, and apparently the 3-star ones scale like insanely. So yeah, maybe you could just run the 3-star ones if you don't want to go for the weapon. And with potentials, I think she might be one you're gonna invest into a lot, because you probably want to level up this one if you want to use the basic attack cards, because you know they do multi-hit and they do a decent amount of damage. Obviously the unique you want to level up, because that's gonna tie into her karmic flames and her oni hunt. Then obviously the crit rate, crit damage you're all probably gonna want. Obviously this is gonna make her moon slash do a bit more damage, and this is just gonna make her bind damage amount a bit more higher as well if you have a lot of attacks stacked up. So you're probably gonna invest in a lot of her potentials. So there's that. Then her memory fragments. This is what your boy's running right now. We've got the 2 set increase the damage, shield, and healing of basic cards. Obviously her basic cards, they hit and they're pretty good, so that's why that plus 20% is pretty nice. And there's a multi-hit, so it kind of works really well. Then you got Executioner's Tool. Okay, I don't know why I was struggling to say that. The crit damage is always going to be nice, especially when you get that nice crit rate. And obviously the 12% attack is always going to be nice for a DPS character, and especially because of her potentials. So you're probably going to try to get as much as attack as you can. And yeah, now we're done with that. I guess we could get into team comps that I think are good for her right now. Obviously we have the typical one of her, Ray, and Tressa, so I guess we could just get that out of the way. I've seen some people run her with Rin. I think that's crazy because of her stance. You're probably gonna have to be like really precise with what cards you're using and what order. That just seems like a headache I don't want to deal with. You know, I'm not trying to think that much when I'm playing my cards, but aesthetically I think it's definitely pleasing to have those two characters together. But yeah, probably not something I'll run. I think her and Mei Lin could be good, and I know that might be crazy, but that my whole idea with the Chizuru and Mei Lin is I'm gonna try to build a Chizuru where I take away her 2 moon slashes, her bound at dusk, and I just keep like 3 Tsukuyomi cards and 2 Oni Hunt upgrade cards. So she's gonna be passively stacking Will-O-Wisp, binding Shadow of the Moons, and I'm gonna be adding a whole bunch of hits to her Shadow of the Moon. While with Mei Lin, I'm gonna be, you know, doing her typical gameplay where I'm just drawing a whole bunch of cards, probably with Cassius in the third slot, and just using Mei Lin's cards a whole bunch, and you know, nuking with Mei Lin. Then once I've probably got the boss down to like 15-10k HP, then I could just nuke with Chizuru and hopefully you know, kill the boss. So I'm trying to fit a Mei Lin, Chizuru, Cassius team. I think that's something that could work really well. Obviously Veronica could probably work well with her. Who doesn't Veronica work well with? I think Hugo is an interesting one. I think Hugo could definitely work with her, especially because Hugo could do you know, hit multiple times, you know, with these 2 cards. So if you could get a run with Hugo where you take away these 3 cards, obviously have his initiation, probably take away Dingo Howling, and you have just the hunting instincts, the Fan of Daggers, quick fix, and Fix's approach. Bear in mind these are 2 upgrade cards, and once you use them, they're, you know, taken away from the deck. So you're basically only gonna have 2 cards of Hugo in your hand. So it's gonna be a very small deck, but it could be really good because you could cycle through your deck easier if you've got less cards, you know. So that could work really well with her Will-O-Wisps. So that could be something nice you could run. Obviously you're probably wondering where you're gonna get the thing from, his Commence the Hunt. If you've got this Tsukuyomi, if you've got like 2-3 of those, you're gonna be able to get skills from there. And I guess the third character you would use is probably someone that could spam some skills to get Commence the Hunt. But yeah, I think that's definitely a team that could actually work well together, you know. And Hugo will still be doing up his follow up attack, so I think that's a team that can work for sure. Who else could you really say? Beryl, but then again, Beryl's just like Beryl's just doing her own thing so much. Like I wouldn't even say it's part of the team comp. I think Nia could definitely work with her because of her discard cards, especially if you get Eternal Hunger on her. Selena could definitely be an interesting one with all the mark. I would wonder how that would work. I think it could work. you'll probably take away certain cards, and you know, if you could just have some mark cards, and she just, I think that could work. I think that could be nice. A Selena Chizuru, but that would be in the case of using Chizuru as a main DPS. So I think there's a few characters she could work with, and as I said, in the future, I think she's gonna be able to work with any character that comes out that multi hits could work with Chizuru, and any character that comes out that's like a melee nuke where they could nuke could also work with Chizuru, especially with the build I just mentioned as well. So yeah, and just to wrap everything up, my overall thoughts, I think Chizuru's a very good character. I think, is she worth summoning for? That's a question you just have to ask yourselves, man. Like, do you guys want Chizuru? Yes or no? It's pretty simple. I think her banner is amazing because when you really think about it, you got Chizuru and you got Tressa. That's basically two 5-stars on a banner, you know, which is rare. You're never ever gonna get two 5-stars on a banner, okay? Because let's be honest, Tressa's a 5-star. Then Ray is an amazing support unit, amazing damage buffer, so she's probably gonna last a long time as well, and just be amazing for any DPS character in the future because she's just gonna be able to give morale, give them a damage amount buff, you know. And I think her ME6, her dupe 6, gives like a 20% buff, so that's also nice as well. So there is that, man. I think her banner is amazing in terms of what you could get from it. I think she's an amazing character. I think she's going to be an amazing sub DPS character as well, and the fact that she could just work well with a lot of DPS characters is what makes her a really good character for me personally, you know, because I think you could really use Chizuru with a lot of characters. And I think she's also fun with the multi-hitting, you know, because it's something different. Because with Tressa, you're just spamming healing to spam shadow daggers. With Malin, Luke, whatever, you're just spamming, you know, attacks and draw cards to get those attacks back to finally nuke. But with Chizuru, you know, you could probably do something different where you're just, you know, got a whole bunch of multi-hitting cards and you're just, you know, multi-hitting a bunch of times every turn instead. So I do like that she has something different to offer, but you could also build her in the typical ways of like the way how you build your Malins and whatnot. But yeah, I think she's a really good character. I think she's going to be good in the future as well. But that's going to be it for your boy. Like, subscribe, run it up. Catch y'all in the next one. I'm out.